Upon the sacred banks of the river Narmada, where the Vindhya ranges cast their timeless shadows onto the silver waters, a man came to seek AdiShankaracharya. He was not a man of ignorance, nor was he slothful. He carried the air of a learned scholar, his eyes bright with sincerity, yet within them lay an abyss of profound restlessness. He approached, not for a blessing, but to find an anchor for the vessel of his life, which was tossing violently in the winds of uncertainty. He knelt before the master and asked a question he believed to be the pinnacle of practicality. Master, if I do not enter the state of marriage, how shall my physical needs be met? How can I live a complete life without an established arrangement for my future? Shankaracharya did not look at the lips of the man from which the words emerged. He looked into his heart, for he knew that a question is often but a mask. Behind this veil of physical needs stood an entire system of social conditioning, a library of borrowed beliefs and unexamined assumptions inherited from generations of samsara. Shankaracharya smiled a smile as vast and flowing as the river before them. He spoke, "My dear traveler of life, observe closely. This question does not arise from your body. The body never asks questions about the morrow. It lives in the absolute isness of the present. The body knows hunger, and when hunger arises, it seeks nourishment. It knows thirst, and when thirst arises, it finds water. It knows exhaustion, and sleep descends of its own accord. The body does not hoard hunger for 10 years hence, nor does it demand an insurance policy for the thirst of tomorrow. It functions in harmony with the rhythm of existence, faultless and spontaneous. But the mind is different. The mind lives through projection. When you speak of physical needs, you are truly speaking of the security of the mind. You do not fear the lack of food or companionship. You fear the great unknown. You fear that without the institution of marriage, you will become a lonely island in the vast ocean of life. You call this practicality, but in truth, this practicality is merely fear masquerading as intelligence. Society has tutored us that life must be planned, organized, and fortified. We are told that without institutions, existence becomes perilous. These ideas enter us from the cradle, silent and persistent, until we mistake them for the only truth. Shankaracharya pointed to a sharp paradox. You believe that marriage will dissolve desire. Look at the world. If marriage truly fulfilled the needs of man, then lust would have vanished on the very first night of union. But what is the reality? Desire does not disappear. It merely receives a social license to exist. Within the bond of marriage, craving often multiplies, for it is fed by the fire of possession and the dullness of habit. Marriage, in the minds of the masses, is not always about love. Often, it is an arrangement, a brick wall we build to shield ourselves from loneliness. But behold, how many dwell within their marriages and yet remain lonely to the very core. That loneliness does not stem from the absence of another. It stems from one's inability to be present with oneself. The man fell into a deep silence. He realized that the voice which had asked the question was not his own. It was the voice of his parents, his ancestors, and the echoes of traditional dogmas vibrating within him. He was but a vessel of the past, a loudspeaker for collective anxieties. Society requires you to marry to maintain its structure. Tradition requires you to procreate, so the chain remains unbroken. But existence requires no such thing. Nature does not ask for your marital status before bestowing the golden sunlight. Mother Earth does not check your marriage certificate before allowing the seeds beneath your feet to sprout. The Master continued, liberation, or moksha, is not a crusade against the body. Liberation is a movement against unconscious living. If you marry in awareness, it is no bondage. If you renounce the world in fear, that renunciation is but another prison. The question is not what you do, but who you are while you are doing it. Lust is distinct from the natural arousal of the body. Lust is a psychological process where the mind weaves images and cravings, turning them into a perpetual obsession. When you live in awareness, you see that the body has its own sacred rhythm. If you do not pour the fuel of thought into the fire of desire, the body regulates itself. The life force, prana, can be transformed. It must not be suppressed, for suppression is but another face of fear. It must be understood. When understanding dawns, energy no longer leaks out in a desperate search for fulfillment. It turns inward, illuminating the very core of your being. The man, seeking a final foothold, asked, then, should I marry or not? Instead, he took away the very water in which the man was struggling. Understanding does not answer the question. It burns the question. When you see clearly that your anxiety is a phantom created by the mind, the question drops away like a dead leaf falling from a tree in the winter. It needs no solution, for it no longer exists. A profound stillness enveloped the banks of the river. The man did not feel the throb of victory from finding an answer. He felt a great emptiness, but it was a clean, luminous emptiness. For the first time in his life, he was not planning his existence. He was inhabiting it. Trust began to bloom. Not trust in an institution, a religion, or a person. It was a trust without reason in life itself. He realized, food is food, breath is breath, life is life. Each moment is Purnam complete unto itself. The freedom Shankaracharya pointed toward is not freedom from the world, but freedom from confusion. Build not your life upon the foundation of fear. Begin by observing what truly arises from the natural need of the body and what is merely the programming of society. When confusion vanishes, life orchestrates itself perfectly. Whether you dwell in a temple or a household, if you live in awareness, you are a master. Liberation is found in the very breath of the present, the moment you see through the illusion of fear. The man stood up and walked along the Narmada. His pace was no longer hurried. His heart was no longer burdened. For he had understood when one trusts the flow of life. The flow itself carries the seeker to the shoreless ocean of enlightenment, where all questions dissolve into eternal silence.